Should I pay off my credit card every time I use it? I am a 19-year-old who just got my first credit card. Discover it. And I was curious about best practices to build my credit. Is it better to accumulate debt over the month and pay it at its due date? Or just frequently be paying them back and basically using it like a debit card? Absolutely pay off the statement each month. Pay off at due date. Set up auto pay so you don't forget. Honestly, you can pay it off more frequently so that you can see your checking account going down. A big issue with credit card users at the beginning: if you spend on the CC, but then you check your checking before deciding to spend again. But this isn't reflective of your situation because you owe money on your CC. Paying off your CC more frequently could provide a little more feedback throughout the month. I wouldn't recommend doing this forever, but at the beginning, while you are learning how to use a CC, this might be a good approach to form good habits. Just a thought. Set a day to pay it off every week. The closer you are to the number that you owe, the less likely you'll get yourself into trouble. Frequent payments won't hurt your credit score, so why not? Person shrugging. Pay in full by the time it's due. Look for point opportunities but don't fall into the trap of buying what you wouldn't anyway. Enjoyed the free Monty loan. Never give them interest, never be late. A lot of comments talking about paying it off every month to not accrue debt and interest, but I think you're asking if you should pay it off every month versus more like daily or every time you swipe it. Personal opinion: I pay the statement balance every month, pretty soon after the bill comes in. However, I also regularly check to make sure I have more money in my checking account than what I owe on the credit card, plus a buffer for my mortgage. I love earning points on my credit card, but if you don't find some way to keep track of it, or you can outspend yourself easily. Pay the full balance off every month. Sometimes I make multiple payments in a month if the balance gets high. That's my personal preference for peace of mind. Pay off every month for sure. Accumulating debt and paying exorbitant interest is not a habit to get into to achieve FI. As long as you pay the bill by the due date and don't carry a balance, it won't charge interest. If you go to store, spend $20 and pay $20 when the charge posts. You make a weekly payment, whatever you choose to is fine as long as you're not missing payments and paying in full to avoid interest. Student cards often have low credit limit. I would do small things with it, like put your cell phone bill and set it to auto pay. Always pay the entire card off each month. If you are the type of person who cannot handle that, and carry a balance, because you do not have the means to pay it off, then credit cards are not for you. Never carry a balance if you can help it. Credit cards are lines of credit revolving, when properly used can be powerful financial tool. Know your credit limit and that you can use it without paying any interest if you pay it. Use it to pay all your expenses and bills and add them off monthly. You can even get cash out if you need it at a minimal fee, but just make sure you know your cash advance rates and also APR rates for your purchases. If you end up needing an expensive purchase, you can use it, then it can also become a debt tool. Set up auto pay so it pays off entire statement balance every month. Make sure you have enough money in your checking account so to avoid overdraft penalties. Never pay credit card interest. Pay your card off every month in full. Your credit score is not based on your debt, but your credit limits. Your score will go up faster if you pay the full amount, as payment history also goes into the calculation. Plus, why pay interest? You don't have to. If you only ever take away one piece of financial advice on Reddit, it will be pay off all your credit cards in full each month. Build your savings, and if you want something big, use the money you have saved. Build your savings to eventually cover 3-6 mo of emergencies so that if you need cash you have it and are not tempted to just put it on the CC. Hold on to the Discover card so your years of credit build up. Yes. Keep your credit to debt usage below 30. Get the Credit Karma app, it will teach you how to build your credit and it's free. Just pay off the statement balance by the due date. As long as you pay it off before you incur any interest, it's horses for courses. I pay it off when it's due so money sits in my offset longer, personally. Can't believe it's so much talk, just pay the balance to zero every time lol. Doesn't matter. I pay mine regularly because I don't want to have large bill at the end of the month. And because it's so easy with modern phone apps for credit cards. You asked about how to build your credit and people responded with how to avoid paying interest, smiley face, carry a small balance, never pay the minimum, and never charge more than 30 of card's limit. Pay off 100 owed, 100 of the time. It's not hard if you're mindful, think of it as more for emergencies. Credit card debt will ruin your life. Yes. If I use one, I go on the account about a week later and pay it off before they even have a chance to add interest. So if it is your first credit card, there is an important caveat of what your available balance is. You technically want to keep it below 30 on average amongst all your credit cards, which isn't a problem if it is $10K, but if it is $300 then you may want to pay off more often. Plus then you don't have to worry about hitting the limit. Otherwise pay off the statement balance every month by the due date. I usually pay earlier right when I get my paycheck. I try to pay the difference of the total credit to credit available every 2 weeks. That covers all purchases posted or not. Sometimes, like this month, I overpaid by $75. Don't let anyone convince you that you have to accrue debt and pay interest to reflect responsible financial habits. I haven't paid interest on my credit cards in over a decade and I wish I'd learned better habits from the start. Helpful hint: I hope use credit cards for convenience, never for credit. Pay it all off every month. I make a habit to check my credit card balance almost daily and I pay them almost daily. This will not harm your score, but it does prevent you from accumulating debt. Just pay the balance on your statement every month. Leave it in auto pay so you don't forget. Note that you rarely need to use your card to build credit. Leave it sit in a drawer for 11 months. Buy a single soda once a year and pay the balance and you will see 12 months of paid in full status on your credit report along with Velo utilization, which boosts your score. Better yet, do the above with 3-5 cards. The hard part about credit is that it's easy to get overextended. Be careful. Always keep your balance below 10 of your credit limit. Your credit score won't be affected by how you pay if you're on time, but it will be affected if you have high usage. I used to pay mine off with every paycheck bi-weekly. Now I pay mine every Friday. It lowers your credit utilization. My credit score went up by 10 points when I started doing this. Use it like a debit card, pay it off before the due date. You can pay it more frequently, but I would check if your checking account has any additional fees for a transaction limit. Also, depending on your balance, overdraft will be more costly than credit card interest, so be careful with auto pay. Minimum is every month before due date. If you are paid every 2 weeks and you find it convenient to pay off twice a month, then sure, do that, but never forget that the goal is to pay off every statement that comes due. No, don't ever pay it off. You build better credit by not making any payments ever. Pay the minimum amount every month and never miss a payment to build your credit history. If you do this for 6 months, you should start seeing an improvement in credit. But never leave it at zero for more than a month. They can and will cancel it for non-use very quickly. Cut up the card and close the account. That's the best option you have. You'll be fine either way. Set up autopay to make sure you don't forget, but feel free to pay it earlier. I pay mine off every time I get paid. My statement frequently says $0 is due by 3 weeks from now. Keep balance at closing under 50%, pref 30% of limit and pay in full. Balance creates the utilization, which is as important as anything. You can pay down to that number but don't pay off before the closing date, as there is only one reporting period, which is when the statement closes typically.